All right, here we go. Let's sit comfortably to start with and notice gravity, right? In particular, notice where you meet the ground. So, notice where gravity's pulling down on your body or pulling your body to the center of the earth. But of course, the floor is between us and the center of the earth. So feel that meeting point, right? Feel that resistance and that heaviness and density that tells us we're meeting something else or we're being pulled against another surface. And once you sort of come home to that, see what you can do to release the upper body into that support of the ground, right? It's going to hold us up, whether we're a ball of nerves or we're totally relaxed. So let's go towards the totally relaxed side. But of course, as we're releasing the muscles, we're doing that game of Jenga where we're putting our spine and our bones just in the right place so we're stacked up. That's what our skeleton does, is hold us up against the effects of gravity. So feel the bones doing their job. Right? I like to sort of picture my spine, bounce the rib cage on the spine, bounce the shoulders on top of the ribs, and balance your head up on top of the shoulders. And like most of the stuff we'll do in here, the most important part is seeing it or seeing it with our inner eye or feeling it with our sense of touch. And when we're doing that, when we're spending time with our body and occupying our full attention and with our sense of touch, informing our life during the period of the class here, we're doing just the right thing. Imagine like the whole rest of the animal world is not so self-conscious, right? That's what makes man is that we can tell that we're thinking. We can think about thinking, right? Self-consciousness. Imagine for a moment that you're a wolf or a puma or at the very least a wildebeest, and you don't have that self-awareness. You just have what it feels like, right? You're here in the present moment. It's that extra dimension that makes us human that also fills up our awareness with a lot of chatter and a lot of opinion and reflection and conversation and dialogue and all that stuff that our brain does in there. It's good sometimes to get back to that wildebeest mind where it's just us and our body and the sunlight and what our skin can tell us and what our bones can tell us. And these things that we do, we can consider this whole class as a way to get back to that. And of course, we're not going to live the rest of our life as a wildebeest, but it's good to know that that's an option, that when we're too human, we have tricks and tips to get us back into that more clear state of consciousness. All right, so notice again that heaviness at the ground. Notice where you meet the floor, and then let's fill up with the breath from the ground all the way up to the crown of the head. And hold it full there for a second, and then on the release, come home to your skeleton. Feel your bones settle into one another. Let's do that one more time. Big, full inhale that's helping you to reach up out of the crown of the head, and then the exhale just settling us home. Okay, let's do some, let's warm up the middle of the body, in particular the sacrum, right? It's where our spine plugs into our hips. So let's start with small circles. I like to play a game when I'm doing this, like try to make movements that almost no one else can see, right? Try to make them so small and so subtle that they're not even there. But then make your circle bigger. Spiral that circle out until you're starting to challenge the status quo, right? The physical status quo, how the body moves and how it feels. Start to find those borders where, okay, I don't go anymore in that direction. But it's a circle or it's circular because our movement is circular. At any one point, if we pause, right, there's a line. I can move this far and no farther. But when you take that all around the body, it becomes a circle. Oh, that's what we're trying to do, is to ride that border or that limit of our range of motion. All right, let's circle the other way. Just take a few laps going in the other direction. Of course, if there's any points that feel a little rusty or a little angular, then just stay there. Work them out. The end goal, it might seem almost too obvious, but the end goal is increased happiness, right? When we finish class, we want to be clearer, fuller of life, but also more rested and more peaceful, more full of life. Okay, let's just come back up, right? One thing, when we're doing our quick check-in, this is whether we're sitting or standing, and I hope we carry it outside of yoga class because it's good to have that, to have our physical self at quick recall, right? One I probably mentioned this before. One of my favorite quotes I've read about that. A teacher said we should always have one eye pointed inward and one eye pointed outward. What he's getting at is like half of our consciousness makes sure we're safe, gets our dinner, collects firewood before it's freezing. You know, the one eye is taking care of our physical life, but a full 50% of our consciousness should be reading the splash, right? If we consider ourselves a pond and our perceptions coming in from the outside world as a rock thrown into our pond, we need to be reading the ripples, right? 50% of our attention is at all points noticing what our body's telling us, because there are many forms of discomfort that if we can meet them in the body, we don't have to meet them in the mind, in the spirit, in the mood. That's the main thing these practices have done for me. Like, I was mega unhappy when I was younger, but now I know I was mostly just cold or just hungry or just tired. And I don't mean to say I was neglected. My family gave me everything I needed, but I did not know what I needed, right? I was that cut off from my body. I didn't know. I thought I was just horribly sad and despairing all the time. But now I realize there's some physical things we can do to keep it from getting up here, right? When we handle it here and we handle it here, it's quicker and it's healthier and it's just better. And most of that is through knowledge, right? We don't have to make big adjustments and massive sacrifices. We just have to watch and know and love and be curious about ourselves, our body. All right, let's take it to our neck a little bit. I was going to get to some of those details with our easy pose. Number one is to make sure that we're not building our pose with our abdominal muscles, our belly, right? And we do that by just letting those go. If you want to take your hands just above the navel, you can. Make all of those muscles soft, right? But we're poking it forward using our back muscles. We can use our belly muscles to push out. My sister would call it pooching out your belly. When we were kids, she would pooch her belly out just for a joke. But we're not doing that here. We're doing it here in the back of the body, pressing forward. Okay? And that's a constant, just a steady. And the reason is we're holding our lower vertebrae under our center of gravity. When our lower back is in place and is supporting us, now our whole upper body is freer and easier. When it's an easy pose, we're going to be still. But when we're supported, we can be so much more resting and restful in the shoulders and in the throat and the jaw. Okay, let's do some eagle arms real quick. Okay, we're going to take this is for the shoulders. We're going to take the arms out. Right's going to go on bottom, and we're going to twine them together. And the first pass, or the first crossing, is way up here under our chin. So get them tight here, and then bend the elbows and twine them together. I always think about the caduceus, the snakes twined together. We're going to press our hands together here. And this is eagle pose because this is apparently like a beak. So press that beak away. Our first, once we get the twine, is to push away and feel the effect that's having, especially on the left shoulder. Keep that reach, the far reach, and then start going up, right? So we're still reaching out, but now we're also pushing up with the elbows and the beak. Find how that's going to land in the shoulders. And again, it's a matter of finding that limit, and then we just keep gently but insistently pushing that direction, pushing into that border, because it's not rigid. That border is elastic, right? It'll move and change. Not that changing it is our goal, knowing it is our goal, being it is our goal, but it has give. All right, let's bring those down, the arms down, and take them apart, and of course we'll rebuild it for the other side. Left on bottom, twine them together real tight, get the hands pressing together, and then we'll go away with the beak, right? Press the beak far away, keep it reaching, and now we'll start to go up with the elbows. All right, that's awesome. Let's bring that down. And last thing before we move out of our easy pose here, we're going to warm up the sides of the body or get some space in the sides of the body. Before we do that, notice how we want our easy pose, we want our movement here to stay in this plane, right? Like this and this. Because once our back bends, we have more options. We can bend in more directions, but what we want are fewer options. Because that puts the stretch where we want it, which in this case is in the right ribs. So we're going to prop with our left hand, and then the right goes up, and it's going to come up and over. Okay? See if that lands in the muscles along the spine or in the right ribs. And if you hit a dead spot, you're stretching, you're feeling it, you're doing it. Sometimes we get to that point where we've done it and nothing else is happening. Then change it, right? Maybe that means folding a little farther to the left with the upper body. Maybe it means bringing the front of the body forward a little or back a little. I'm not trying to say to find discomfort, but I'm trying to say make sure that your pose is active. Because sometimes it's easy just to drift off and nothing's really going on. And that's why we drift off, because we get bored, right? The pose has ended, but we're still in it. So our mind is like, well, let's go plan or whatever, make a grocery list or whatever. So we try to keep it interesting for our mind by keeping the pose active. And that just means we're feeling feedback and we're feeling action. All right, let's come back to center. And we'll prop with the right arm, left goes up, and it's going to come up and over. Same deal here, investigate the left side. All right, let's come on back to center. And now, let's go ahead and stand up for a couple things. Okay, I think we'll do some Tai Chi walking. So just consider your lane, lane's lane. And, if you're about to run into something, just try to make your turn part of the fun, right? So I'll remind us how we're going to do this, and then I'll hush, and we'll just say 5 minutes, okay? So to start us off, we got and it doesn't have to be on the mat. In fact, probably won't be on the mat, but toes are pointed out, right? We have plenty of give in the knees. Sometimes with these Tai Chi and Qigong practices, when I'm a visual learner, so I learn well through watching other people or through watching videos or whatever, and I'm always like, when I do it myself, I'm like, surely they're not bending their knees that much, but we are, right? Nice deep bend in the knees. And when we take these steps, include that knee bend in your step. Let's take our hands. You can hold the opposite wrist here, or you can rest the wrist right at the lower back here. Okay, and for our first step, first shift your weight fully in the left foot. And then we're going to touch the toes of the right foot beside the left, and then take a step forward with the right foot. Land the heel first, and then the toes. And then in one smooth move, shift your center of gravity forward over that right foot, bend the right knee that is going to let you go forward with it. What makes this beautiful and what makes it elegant is that we keep that back heel planted. Because if it came up, things would change. This is another case where a limitation makes it better. So that back foot stays flat. We go as far as we can with this bent knee, and then we're going to send our weight back to the left foot. And the front toes come up and angle out, so right in this case. And now we're back at the start. So we shift forward, put weight into the right foot, tap with the left, step with the left, heel and toe. Slowly bring the weight forward over the left foot, bending the left knee. Back foot stays home. And now we're going to go back into the right foot. Toes lift and turn. And then we're ready to go forward. All right, put weight into the left foot. Tap with the right. Heel and then toe lands. Awesome. It's like, it's balancing on one foot at a time. It's so much fun. It's walking, but it's definitely not like, it's not like our regular walk. So let's take it to the backs of the legs here for a little bit, and the inside of the legs in this case. So we're gonna go really wide with our feet, and then angle them in. we're hoping to start to find this link outside the legs. Okay? So toes are in, roll your weight to the outside edges of the toes. I like to bring my hands to the hips here and start to pull my elbows back. And that keeps me open and bright here in the front of the body. And let's fold it forward from the hips. Find that place where it feels like the back is about level. And then try to change the effort from pulling away from the floor to lengthening back through the tailbone and lengthening forward through the crown of the head. Remember to breathe. Okay, let's gently release on in here. And just let the upper body come to rest so that we find that pull or we find that space in the legs. All right, let's come on down to tabletop pose. Okay, and let's do our tabletop, or our cat-cow today that gets the forearms and the hands. We're going to rotate them back, right? If they don't want to go all the way back, outward is fine. Anywhere in this outward arc is just fine. You don't have to put all your weight on it at first. I'm sort of leaning back, and then just gradually release the collarbones and let the upper body settle into the hands and wrists. Okay, now notice what that feels like. Make sure the wrists and the forearms are okay with that. And then the inhale is going to take our spine up. And we just let our head drop and intentionally point the tailbone down. And then on the exhale, let's reverse that. So the sternum, the solar plexus sinks, right? And that's passive. We just let gravity bring it down. And we're going to lift the crown of the head and point the tailbone up. We're just trying to make that complete circle. The exhale is a big arch up. And then the inhale is a curve down like a cup shape. Okay, let's just sit back towards the heels. All right, just let the upper body settle, and we're going to turn it into a nice child's pose. So you can make a little pillow with your hands and arms, or if you want to bring your head all the way to the mat, that's fine. You can either keep your arms stretched out in front of you, if that feels comfortable. Classical version of the pose is having our arms down by our sides, and that does have certain benefits, making space across the shoulders. So you're welcome to try it both ways. Or most important in the child's pose is being able to let go, right? We're safe, we're supported, we're trying to let our body come to its sort of default state. We're trying to zero out our muscles. See if you can let them all lengthen and release. Okay, take your time. Let's come on back up to our tabletop. And then we're going to take our right leg straight out behind us. Okay, notice what the shoulders have to do. Notice what the hips do to sort of re-stabilize. Because we go from a four-legged table to a three-legged table, and there has to be consequences. Something has to change. And we want to notice that and learn it. Nothing is too small or nothing is too insignificant for us to notice in our body. Okay, let's bend our right knee and start to bring that right foot as close to our head as it'll go, right? It's reaching, our right foot is trying to get to our head. Now we're going to take the left hand and see if we can find it. Maybe it's the heel or the middle of the foot. Maybe it's the pants. If they don't meet, just keep them both reaching up, because that's where we're all going. Taking the head, taking the hand and the foot towards the sky. Notice the right hand and the left knee and see if you can balance out, even out the pressure coming down or the weight being supported by the hand and the knee. All right, let's take that apart with skill. Okay, we'll do it to the other side. Left leg goes back. Lengthen out through the toes. And then we're going to bend our left knee, get that left foot reaching for our head. Okay? Let's take the right hand and go back to meet it. If the hand and foot don't want to get together, just take them both up. Keep them both reaching skyward. Okay? That's good. Let's take that apart. Let's do a good spinal twist here. This is the first one I really understood, and it's still probably my favorite. We just need to take the right hand, palm up, and scoot it through like so. It's going to slide behind the left wrist so that we can come on down with the right shoulder and the right side of the head. Take a second to let the body release, right? Make sure we're not fighting it or unwittingly doing something. And then take the left arm up and back. Okay, let's come on back to center and we'll make that happen for the other side. Left hand flips up. It's going to tuck through here. So we come down to the left shoulder and the left ear. Take a second to settle, release, right? Make it neutral. And then the right arm extends and it's going to come up and back. Okay, let's come on back to center. And we'll take a step forward with the left foot. We're just going to get the left foot outside the left hand. Okay? We're setting up for some lizard pose or dragon, depending on how mythological you're feeling. And you can either keep this back knee where it is, or you can tuck the toes and pop that knee up. Right? It's going to affect this is a hip stretch. So at any point, this is available to you, right? Just bring that knee down for some support. Now what we want is just to switch off the center of the body, okay? I think of it as hammocking, right? My head is up here, my heel is down there, and I want to hammock the center of the body, right? Switch it off. It's just letting gravity pull us down, which is making all that space in the left hip. And if it feels good to have a little movement, keep things changing, especially the front knee can go side to side. Find that balance between stability and ease. And like always, I know I've said this a million times, stillness is wonderful. And there's a massive place for stillness in a yoga practice. But don't let that become rigidity or stubbornness, If the pose is not doing it for you, find a way that makes it active. Find a way that switches it on so that you feel something. Okay, if that back knee is floating, let's go ahead and set it down. And now we'll bend the elbows. see what we can find. Okay, let's lift it back up, and then we're going to go back with the left knee and forward with the right foot. Set up that lizard. Back knee can stay where it is, or we can float the back knee. In whichever case, we just want to drop the hips forward and down. My toes, my big toe knuckle, is that a knuckle in your foot? My big toe knuckle on both feet sort of aches. Something about the way I run makes it sore. So just holding this like this doesn't feel good. So I just flip my foot. I can still pick up my knee. And I just say that by way of telling you that you can make it your own, right? Any variations that makes it doable, that's what makes your yoga practice special and your own. So make it work. And that comes from prioritizing, right? What's important is not that my toes are flipped. What's important is that I'm finding a stretch in the hip. However I need to get there is what I'm going to do. Okay, let's set the back knee down if it's still up, and we'll bend the elbows, lower the upper body. See what we can find there in the right hip, or the front of the left. Could be anywhere. Okay, let's get our hands back under us, and let's go ahead and lie down on our front sides for a few things. Okay, first is our crocodile pose, and this is reminding us of abdominal breathing, all right? The idea here is to bring each inhale, really slow, full inhale, below the belly button, and we'll know that we've breathed down there because it moves. That part of the body will shift against the floor. Any movement of the abdomen below the belly button, that's our cue. Okay, I've breathed into the belly. Then on the exhale, just release. Feel how the body settles, be comfortable, enjoy the exhale, and then get to work. The next inhale, slow and steady. All the way down, release on the exhale. Okay, let's bring our chin to center. Our chin is on the floor or on the mat, and we're gonna go out wide, airplane the arms, okay? Notice how the left shoulder meets the floor, the front of the left shoulder. So basically from the sternum to the outside of the left shoulder, we want that to stay home, right? Because that's going to let us stretch the body instead of just turning at the left shoulder. It lets us make space all across the front of the chest and the upper body. So left shoulder stays planted. Turn your head to look out to the right. And now bring up the right arm. It's straight. That elbow's straight. Right knee is straight. Let's cross over the center line. Here's where it starts to feel like a starfish, right? Starfish pose. All right, let's come back to center. And just like you might think, like any right thinking starfish, we'll go to the other side. Let's look out to the left. Left arm stays straight, left leg stays straight. We're just going to bring it up and back. Okay, that's good. Let's come on back to center. And then do what you need to do. Use the hands and arms to press ourselves upright. And then let's lie down on our backs. We should have just rolled over. Right? That's an inefficiency on my part. I'm just thinking on my back here. So let's bring both knees up towards our chest. And we're going to use our hands to give them a gentle pull. So our hands are encouraging the knees to come in. Now at the same time, engage the core and the hip muscles and try to pull the tailbone down towards the ground. So we're going two different ways, right? Knees are pulling in, but the hips are trying to pull back and down. And for me, that ends up right at the leg, the hip crease, right in the front of the body. And nothing else works that part of the body. That's why I love this so much. Okay, we got the knees still. Let's do a little sit-up and see if we can get our chest and our head towards our knees. Shift the grip to the ankles or the heels or the feet or the toes, right? Find a grip on the lower body, and then just see if we can lie back again. Let the head and shoulders come back to the ground. Okay, now what we're going to make of this is a stretch for the back of the legs. So we just want to start to gradually straighten the knees. Okay, we don't ever have to have straight knees. That's not our goal. Our goal is to get that feeling of length in the back of the legs. All right, let's let the feet go, and we're going to land our feet, knees pointed up, feet flat. And then let's cross the right ankle at the left knee. Okay, both shoulders stay home, so our upper body stays square, but let's pivot at the hips so that right foot comes down to the floor. And now it's the right knee that points up. Okay, check in, make sure both shoulders are flat. And now we're going to take the left hand and press away, push the knee away. See if you can find this somewhere between the ribs and the outside of the right hip. Sometimes it's an interesting feeling. It feels like it's right on the top of the hip, my hip pointer, right? Just see what you can find there, outside the right, on the right outside. All right, let's come back to center, and we'll just set that up for the other side. So left ankle crosses on the right knee. Shoulders stay home. We're going to pivot. All right. Right hand goes to the left knee, and we're just going to push it away. See what we can find there. Outside of the right leg, outside of the right hip. All the way up to the right rib. I'm sorry, the left. That's my left side. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Awesome. Let's take both legs out straight, and we're going to disappear our arms behind us. Okay? We're going to sit on our hands, palms down. We're sitting on the back of the hands. Now work your elbows in. Roll the shoulders open and see how close together you can get the elbows. When they're at their closest point, lock them to the ground. It's not a hard push. It's like 2% strength, but push them down, right? It's just reminding us of where our balance is and where our support is. Okay, now we're going to pick our head up, look down at the toes, and then do a little sit up here to bring the weight of the upper body to the elbows. Okay? Now this may seem constricted or constrained, but you have all sorts of variations here, all sorts of things that you can change to make it more doable. So give yourself that freedom and that permission to make it feel stable, make it feel all right. Okay, now that's going to allow us, because we've made it, we're not freaking out because we're going to fall or hurt ourselves. We're stabilized. So now that's going to let us push. And where we're going to push is at the solar plexus. Just below the tip of the sternum, we're reaching up. Lower ribs are reaching up. And that's just a steady, consistent lift. Okay, let's go ahead and bring our head up again to look down at the toes. Use the forearms and the hands, and we'll come on upright. And let's set ourselves up a very comfortable, easy pose. And like usual, we just want to be comfortable in the legs and hips, as we want the upper body to be supported by the spine. All right, you can do this sitting in a chair, meditation in a chair, 100% fine. But if we're doing that, we want to sit at the forward edge of the chair, so it's our spine. And the reason we do that is because our nervous system, when it's supported or resting against the surface, lying back or reclined, our mind gets the signals, our brain gets the signal, it's time to switch off. It's time to head towards sleep. Whereas when we stay upright under our own power, when it's our spine holding our head up, we're more active. We stay more plugged in. And that's what we want. Our meditation seat should be resting and as close to fully comfortable as we can with our body, but our mind is still plugged in and active. Okay? And that's what we want. And today, it's a physical practice, and it's just a practice based on stillness. We're going to have 3 check-in points that we'll try to keep still. Number 1 is the feet and ankles, right? So however you're sitting, get them set up so that you can bet you can do 5 minutes keeping them there. They'll be okay for 5 minutes. Put your feet or ankles in that place. Okay, the second place is the hands. Sometimes when I do this practice, I like to lock my hands together because I'm twitchy. You guys know I'm twitchy, and I'll move without planning to move. You know what I'm saying? I'll fail. Not that you can fail this meditation, but I'll move my hands without even planning to do it. So to help me with that, I just interlace my fingers, right? So they automatically, they have an anchor there, a physical anchor. That's our second point of check-in, right? Our hands are still, our ankles are still. And then the last place is our eyes. And we just make a plan to keep the eyes closed, right? And this one seems, you may feel like it's too open-ended, like there's so much space because we're not repeating a mantra and we're not following our breath, right? We're just keeping still, right? But for me, it's like this massive freedom. Like I'll freak out mentally, like, oh my God, am I doing it right? And then I'll check in and my feet are still and my hands are still and my eyes are still. So I'm doing it 100% right. And imagine taking a glass and scooping up some creek water. It's got all sorts of wonderful life and plants and sand and dirt in it, but it's cloudy, it's not clear, right? But if you just set that glass to the side and don't mess with it, the stillness lets everything settle out. And by the end of 5 minutes, your water is more clear. So that's what we're going for here. We're just letting our water clear, right? We'll just take 5 minutes here. Let's make some small movements with just the toes and fingers at first, just gradually getting ready to unlock and move around a little bit. Take your time. And the more, when we take time and do practices like this, the more that we're sort of intentional, it doesn't necessarily mean slow, but the more that we're intentional and graceful about moving into the rest of our day, the more we get to keep the good stuff with us. Well, that was fun, you guys. Thank you. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
You're welcome.